Welcome to Theater Corner. I'm your host, Michael Taylor. Theater Corner was created as an effort to increase more diverse interests and involvement in the theater scene. Sheldon Epps is Artistic Director Emeritus of the renowned Pasadena Playhouse. Before beginning his tenure at the Playhouse in 1997, he served as Associate Artistic Director of the Old Globe Theatre for 4 years. He conceived the highly acclaimed musicals Play On and Blues in the Night, which both received Tony Award nominations. Mr. Epps received the James Irvine Foundation Leadership Award for his efforts and accomplishments at the Pasadena Playhouse. The Playhouse has earned distinction for productions of artistic excellence, critical and box office success, and highly praised theatrical diversity. So, silence your cell phones, folks. You're about to enter Theater Corner. Here we are with the masterful Sheldon Epps. It is such an honor to have you here on Theater Corner. I really appreciate you coming to visit a brother.
Thank you. My pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure for us to have you here. Let's start off. What's going on right now is you're ending a 20-year tenure here at Pasadena Playhouse.
I started when I was 15, so. Yeah, it's sometimes I think about it, and I'm not really sure how I got to 2 decades.
Wow.
In one place and running a theater institution, but it's a source of a lot of pride. Mm-hmm. And I came, as I think you know, really right after I was at the Old Globe for 4 years, the Old Globe in San Diego.
Yes.
So I landed here the week after I left San Diego.
Wow.
And I always intended to sort of do it in 5-year increments. I'll go for 5 years, and after the first 5 years, I decided to stay for another 5, and somehow those 5s all added up, and I find myself at the end of a 20-year tenure, which is the source of a lot of pride.
Incredible.
These days, in the American theater, after the founding fathers of these theaters, who stayed for 25 years, 35 years, most people don't stick around quite that long in one place. So I'm proud of the fact that I've hung in there, for better and for worse, for all this time.
What was that journey like? This 20-year journey. I mean, you've seen this Playhouse change, certainly, over that time.
It's been a roller coaster ride, to be quite honest, with some great highs artistically in terms of local recognition, national recognition, but also some low spots and a lot of hard work. To be completely honest, when I started here, the theater was not terribly high regarded artistically.
Okay. Always
A beautiful facility, a gorgeous physical facility that deserved a great theater company. But in 1997, when I started, it did not have a great theater company. It was open, but the work was a little bit mediocre, certainly not in the top tier of American theaters. And I was fortunate because I had worked at really great theaters in my freelance directing career, at the Old Globe, at the Guthrie, Arena Stage. So I had perhaps an overly high standard of what a theater could be and should be. Right. So I decided to take this wonderful physical facility and try to give the theater the work on the stage that I felt the theater deserved, and to really focus on the artistry and diversity and the quality of the work rather than just staying open and staying
Right.
alive.
Right.
Why stay alive if the work is not exemplary?
Exactly.
So to sort of refocus the theater in that direction towards a really high artistic standard. And I always said I wanted to try to make it one of the great theaters in America. Now, it's not for me to say that it's become one of the great theaters in America, but it has certainly had moments of greatness. So that is, as I look back now, that's very gratifying to know that you've made a real change in a place and restored a theater with a great history and a great deal of recognition in its early days to a theater to be reckoned with.
Right,
As
right,
I sometimes say, a theater to be respected and admired and celebrated.
During this time, you were still doing tons of television. How are you balancing all of that? That's
I don't
that's
know,
quite a bit.
Michael. I don't know. Sometimes when I look back on those days, my first 10, 12 years here, when in fact I was running the theater and also had a busy television career doing situation comedies like Friends and Frasier, and for 5 years I was the primary director and producer of Girlfriends,
Wow.
which I was very proud of. But when I look back on that and think about what those days were like, where I would go early in the morning and have my full-time television career and then run over here at the end of the day and the evenings and all weekend and try to run a theater, I say, what was I thinking? You know, were you insane to be trying to do all of that? I think being younger probably had something to do with it.
That always
And
helps.
having more energy. But
Right.
when I think back on it, I really kind of marvel that I was able to keep the balls up in the air like that.
Wow.
But one served the other. I think that's really what motivated me to do it. That the work in television and the people that I met and the actors that I was able to attract to work in the theater, and the directors and designers and all of that really served the Playhouse and helped to reestablish it, as I was talking about before, and gain that renewed vitality and renewed recognition. So it was tough. I won't deny that, but it was very rewarding and certainly it was a very reciprocal kind of life that my television life was not separate from my theater life. They were very much involved with each other.
Okay. So I have a difficult question, and I'm going to ask for three. First, which theater production you directed that was most enjoyable? I mean, that you walked away and that was fun, great fun.
I would have to say Kiss Me Kate, which I did about 3 years ago.
Okay.
With a wonderful, wonderful cast starring Wayne Brady and Merle Dandridge, who is now on Greenleaf, one of the stars of Greenleaf. And number one, Wayne is just a great laugh-a-minute person to be around with his improvisational skill. Though he took the role very seriously, and the show includes a lot of Shakespeare, and is sort of based on a company doing a musical version of Taming of the Shrew. So it's challenging. People think, oh yeah, that's a musical. Well, it's not just a musical;
Right.
it's also a Shakespeare play, and it is very classical in huge parts of it. The Cole Porter music is almost Baroque in some ways, and then there are other songs that are much more Broadway songs. But Merle and Wayne just led a wonderful company, and we laughed, we worked hard, but it was just great fun, and I think we brought something new to that old chestnut of a musical that had not been seen before. I always say we gave it a little more flavor
There you
than
go.
other versions of Kiss Me Kate have had. So it was a great process to discover how to honorably do Kiss Me Kate without changing anything, without changing any of the text, but also to give it this new, more colorful life.
Bringing a certain aesthetic to it.
Yes, yes.
I love that. And so number 2 is the most fulfilling theater production.
That would, whenever people ask you this, that's a little like saying which of your children is your favorite.
Oh man, that's
which I asked a mother once, and she said, well, I actually do have a favorite, but I can't tell you who it is. So I have to put that demurral in there that I probably shouldn't pick favorites. But in terms of most fulfilling, I would have to say it was our production of August Wilson's Fences. Again, I was blessed with a tremendous cast, led in that case with Lawrence Fishburne and Angela Bassett, which right away was incredibly fulfilling to work with 2 actors of such great stature. I think that August Wilson play is truly one of the great American plays. And you notice I didn't say one of the great Black American plays.
Right.
That play stands with any play by any great American theater writer, with Tennessee Williams and Eugene O'Neill. So to bring the company together on what I feel is one of the great American plays, my favorite August Wilson play, and to really completely fulfill the play and to get to the heart of what Mr. Wilson was writing about, and to give it a dynamic that stood with, I think, the original production with James Earl Jones, which I saw and which was magnificent, to really come out of that feeling this is about as good as this play can be, and we've really cracked the nut of this very challenging play. Was enormously fulfilling.
Wow. So we're going to put those 2 together. Enjoyable and fulfilling.
A musical version of August Wilson's Fences.
Both enjoyable and fulfilling. And so what would be the most enjoyable and fulfilling television production that you were involved with?
Well, I'd have to say 2. This time I can't choose one of the children and not the other. Doing Frasier was tremendously fulfilling.
Okay.
Because the quality of the writing was so good. I always said that doing an episode of Frasier was like doing a well-made French farce in 22 minutes and then filming it. But yeah, the writing was just amazing. And then a great cast with Kelsey Grammer, David Hyde Pierce, and all of the others, who were like a wonderful theater company ensemble, who just understood, what their roles and responsibilities were the moment they read the script, and sort of walked in and did what they did so beautifully. So I was very lucky to have the opportunity to do over 20 episodes of Frasier. So that was great. But the other would be the series Girlfriends, because during the first 5 years of that show, I directed the majority of the episodes, 15 or 16 every season. First of all, I started on the show early on, so I was there for the growth and development of the show, and we became a kind of family working on it week after week. Sometimes a dysfunctional family, but generally a very happy family. But particularly for a show which had its basis in Black culture, about this group of Black women friends. It was funny, but we also went into some dark corners and some very serious subjects. Class differences, gender issues, economic issues, drug issues, violence in Black communities. So for a sitcom, we covered a lot of bases and a lot of territory with the show. And so I was proud to be a part of that. And because I did so many episodes, I felt like I was able to help shape the show.
Okay.
Frasier was more or less the great show that it was by the time I started working on that. I felt with Girlfriends that I really had the opportunity to make it a great classic show. And we had fun.
There was great fun. So we're going to end right here for part one. Be sure to come back and join us at Theater Corner for part two interview with Artistic Director of Pasadena Playhouse, Sheldon Epps. So now we're going to hear from our sponsor.
Come back.
Very nice touch. The Pasadena Playhouse is a place where people have gathered for 100 years to experience bold and important theater. They are one of the most prolific theaters in American history with a legacy of profound theatrical impact and courageous new work. As a state theater of California, their mission is to enrich people's lives through theater, community programs, and learning.